Welcome back. That's Sam.
That's Phil.
We are Bars and Barbells. And Samantha, you need to tell them what we're doing today.
We are doing God Save the Queen by the Sex Pistols.
The Sex Pistols. Sam has been waiting to get to the Sex Pistols because the name Sex Pistols.
Definitely not. Actually, though, funny story, which is kind of ironic because he's not even in this song, apparently. But I had a weird experience once because I was really hungover one day in my early 20s. And I wanted to watch a documentary. So I randomly decided to watch a documentary on Sid Vicious and Nancy, his girlfriend that he was with at the time. And this whole thing about like if he killed her or not, she died. And then there's like this mystery where people think that he killed her. So anyways, the whole documentary was about Sid Vicious and his girlfriend Nancy and his experience with the band, and they were on tour and she was with them and all this stuff, but then she ended up dying. So then I went down this rabbit hole for like hours trying to figure out if he killed her or not.
So clearly Sam is much more familiar
I obviously
with the Sex Pistols.
if you guys didn't know, I have a little bit of a fascination with true crime. So
Yeah, definitely she does. And so that's why you were interested in the Sex Pistols, and you're let down because Sid Vicious is not in this song.
Well, he's like the only member that I like really recognize. So, however, they did show the whole group, but he, I guess, was replaced. He's the bassist, and I guess he was replaced from the original member. So I didn't even know that like he wasn't.
He replaced the original.
Yes, yeah. So I didn't even know that he wasn't an original member. Like they didn't really touch on that in the thing that I watched.
Anyway, so we're getting into God Save the Queen. This is the first time that we're getting into Sex Pistols on the channel today. And that's why I was saying that Sam has been looking forward to this one. Because actually, I remember when we started doing videos on the channel, it's like she had made mention, when are we going to get into the Sex Pistols? And then it just kind of fell by the wayside. And
he was like, the who?
Yeah, because I'm like, what are you talking about? Who are these people?
I was like this one group that I became obsessed with because of a documentary.
Yeah. So they formed in 1975. They're from London. This song was from when? 1977.
Yep.
They're from that punk rock scene. And we just recently, I don't know if it's going to be up on the channel yet. It could be just released, but we just did it. Obviously, we do have to do some editing and stuff, right? So we just did a video by The Clash, which also was a London punk group. It seems that you know, they may be of the same era and closely linked in terms of genre. I'm not sure. You guys can give us more insights down below. But God Save the Queen, apparently, there was some rebellious tone to this one and something to do with the monarchy. God Save the Queen, obviously. So we know that the monarchy is a big, big part of British history, right? So I don't know what to expect on this one, but
well, they were saying that this went to number 2, and there was a little bit of like controversy on like if it should have gone to number 1 or if it was intentionally being blocked because of the message of the song. So
yeah, there was some conspiracy talk. I think that that this may have
banned
been
by the BBC,
censored. Yeah, because the BBC apparently, you know, were like, no, you guys can't talk this way about the Queen. So you guys can add insights to that as well. But it's interesting that censorship is a topic today that we discuss because, you know, there's so much misinformation, disinformation. You know, people talk about what's out there that's true and what's not. And it's hard to identify now because of AI and everything else, what is true and what's not. So it's interesting that this was released, like 50 years ago and still relevant today. And this is a going theme on our channel that we get into music or content that we go back in time and we check out. And it's like, damn, it's kind of crazy how this message still resonates. So let's find out if they're, you know, well, I mean, I don't know if it's going to resonate as much now because God Save the Queen. I don't know. You guys might disagree, but I feel like most people, maybe it's different in Britain, but in the Western culture anyways, I feel like there's less of a rosy image of the monarchy today. I think that that shift has happened. I know my mom was totally loved the, you know, British royal family, and
my mom too. She was like all about watching the weddings and the whole 9 yards.
But obviously there's a generational change, I think, there. Anyways, I'm going to shut up now. Let's get into the Sex Pistols.
You thought you'd gotten rid of us, didn't you? But you were wrong, old bean, because we're back with a vengeance.
God save the Queen, my son.
Definitely looks like England.
God save the Queen!
So that was we're a little more than halfway through, Sam, and
definitely got the punk sound and the punk look going on.
Yeah, it's really wild. These hairstyles are insane.
Lots of spikes going on.
Yeah, I was thinking about it though, because we said this came out in the 70s, right? Mm-hmm. And then we look at this and how different this is versus so much of what we did in the 70s,
yes,
right?
So different.
Obviously, you had some of the disco era starting to percolate, and
we've been looking at more like rock related stuff, like Led Zeppelin and stuff, completely different than this.
Yeah, and even like the hippie movement in general, right? That was pretty prominent, right? So, very, very different setting here with the punk rock idea. This rebellious, you're really capturing that with this, right? This theme of rebellion, pushing back. I mean, clearly that's what the song is all about, of rebellion against the monarchy and God Save the Queen. That's, kind of poking some fun there.
Yeah.
You got a picture of the Queen with like a piercing through the nose.
Oh, I know. With the giant paper, the safety pin.
Yeah. Which again plays into some of the fashion ideas here, right? Of like just the all out, we're not going to do, because I think, even when you look at British culture, traditionally it's been, very proper, right? So everything about this is pushing back
like
on
the
that.
opposite.
Yeah, it's like, we're not going to dress this way. We're not going to talk this way. We're not going to act this way. We're going to be individuals, want to be who we are. And I think, pushing back against this idea that we all need to fall in line and respect the royal family is what the vibe I'm getting from this anyways.
Yeah, for sure. It's also very interesting because the only punk rock that I'm really familiar with personally is from the late 90s and the early 2000s, like things that I listened to when I was young, like Sum 41 and Blink 182 and stuff like that. And this does remind me, like, I can totally see how something like this would have influenced that. Like, I remember specifically like them dressing like this, well, not with the UK related stuff, but like the way that their style was, their hairstyles, the makeup, and even the sound. Like, it's just so crazy how that translated to, North America and then decades later.
Yeah, it's got this kind of mix of like,
even the rebellious vibe,
the rebelliousness of it, the high energy feel, but a little bit of a sprinkle of pop in there as well to make it like mainstream and appealing, and you can listen to it like not something that's a hard rock or heavy metal sound. It's a little bit lighter than that, but it's still got, like I said, a lot of energy, a lot of pop to it, with this great riff, and you get into a short, quick solo, and it's got a catchy hook, all that stuff. So really interesting to experience this. I mean, we haven't done a lot of punk. I was saying that in the Clash video that we did. We haven't done a lot of it on the channel, but this, I think, like you said, really starts to paint the picture of where punk led to down the road.
Yeah, like
right?
I definitely see remnants of this in what I used to listen to, like at a certain period of time.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Tell us how you really feel.
The Sex Pistols' current record, God Save the Queen, is at #1 of the Capitol hitline today. But the IBA, which administers the Broadcasting Act, has advised us that particularly at this time, this record is likely to cause offense to a number of our listeners, and have asked us not to play it in our normal programming. However, we will be playing this record with the authorities' approval at 7:30 p.m. tonight on Brian Wolf's Open Line, and will welcome your views about the punk rock phenomena which this is part of.
Well, you can certainly see the power of the establishment in that sense with that little, blurb at the end is that with the authorities' permission, we're going to be allowed to play it. And
you can also see how this definitely would have rocked the boat. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, when you try to contain something and it draws more attention to it and blows it up even more, that was likely the case with this.
Mm-hmm.
But it does really highlight, I think, an interesting dynamic because on the one hand, there were probably a lot of people that agreed with this song, that they were frustrated against, the establishment, and maybe this song was a voice for people that felt like that they were being held down and, not able to freely express themselves, be who they are, make it in life, whatever it might have been. And they agreed with the sentiment of the song. But on the other hand, we had just mentioned that my mom and your mom were very much, pro family and thought that it added a sense of value and culture. I think we've learned that Britain is very passionate about their history, and the royal family is a part of that. So, on the other hand, there's going to be people that would have looked at this song and be like, it's trash and it's garbage, take it off the radio. And there would have been a lot of uproar about it. So there would have been, really a divide, I think, about how people felt. And it probably would have really, exploded, I feel like, at the time, because I doubt many bands, groups, artists took this approach.
Well, yeah, I feel like at that time it was probably like riskier to speak out and stuff like that, right? Go against the grain. Now it's like you can get away with saying anything and anything pretty much. So,
to a degree.
Well, I mean, and there's a lot of music out there where people just say whatever they want.
There is, but I think that there is there's a definite agenda of what's acceptable in the mainstream and what's not. And if you don't, I think today there's more opportunity for independent artists. That's a big, big difference, is that if you decide to go independent and you want to say what you want to say, people can't restrict you from doing that. However, I think there are still a lot of artists that you hear about after the fact. They're like, yeah, my label wasn't allowing me to do this, or, the powers that be were really restricting my creativity of what I could do. And so I think that maybe it's not as prominent because there are individuals that can get outside that box, and the entertainment industry's really expanded beyond what it was here, right? Because you just had the major labels and the distribution and all that. But I think it just exists in a different way now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Did you like the song?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. Like I said, I thought, for me at least, it's very interesting seeing like what originated this sound and like where this started from and how this was and when it was popular in the 70s. Because like I said, I really did notice a downstream effect on both the sound and the visuals in bands that I really enjoyed in the early 2000s.
We have only done, I think, one song on the channel from them, and I think I might know a couple of them. But just from our brief introduction to them, it reminded me of like Green Day.
Yeah.
Like 20, 30 years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's what I'm saying. Like I used to listen to a lot of like Green Day, and I was like a really big Sum 41 fan because they were Canadian, right? And it reminded me of both of those.
Yeah, I had a very brief phase where I was like spiking my hair and everything. And
yeah, me too.
Then I turned into a little thug, and the rest is history.
I had like two completely opposite sides. It was like punk rock, like because we've talked about it on the channel, right? Like Evanescence. I listened to all of that stuff, and then on the other side was like gangster rap.
Yeah, well, that's been our journey. Now we're at the Sex Pistols. So the times have changed. Let us know if there's anything else from the Sex Pistols that we should check out down below. We appreciate all your insights. Hit the like button, subscribe. Have a great day. We'll see you in our next video.
Thanks for watching.